guys, it's Star the Flippin' Hippo. Thank you for joining us on our YouTube channel at Flippin' Hippos, and welcome to episode 4 of Back to Basics. Today we're going to talk about sourcing. Where can you go to find items to resell? I have a list here, and I'm going to go over all of the options with you guys. Some of these are more common that you already know about, and some of these are more uncommon and thinking outside of the box for places that you guys can get inventory at low cost of goods to use so that you make the maximum profit when you resell it. Also keep in mind that depending on what kind of items you want to resell is going to decide for you where you source. If you want to be a used clothing reseller, you're obviously going to hit at more thrift stores and places like the Benz. If you want to focus on electronics, you're going to probably hit up more yard sales and pawn shops. If you're looking for vintage and antique items, estate sales are really good for you. So we're going to go over all of these places that you can find the inventory you need to build up your eBay store or your Posh Closet or wherever you're selling. And then you're going to have to make the decision where you go to source based on, number 1, what kind of items you want to resell. Number 2, what's available to you in your area. Some places have really good yard sales. Some places have really good flea markets. And some places don't. And some places have better deals at the thrift stores than others. And then, of course, weather will take precedence in your decision making as well. If you live somewhere like where we live in Pittsburgh, you obviously aren't having yard sales at this time of year, but if you live in Florida or California, yard sales might still be a viable option for you even in the middle of winter. So let's go over this list. I'm going to start at the top and just work my way down, and I will be having a little more extra information and websites for you in certain instances. So thrift stores are probably the most obvious and common place for resellers to go to get items to resell. And that's for everybody. Of course, thrift stores have a lot of clothing, and used clothing sellers are obviously going to be in the thrift stores. But they have electronics sections, and they have shoes, and they have books, and they have media. So thrift stores are really good for everybody. Of course, there's the most common ones. There's St. Vincent's de Paul, Salvation Army, the Goodwill, and some places they have Savers and Value Village. And those are like corporation thrift stores, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Those are good places to go. I would suggest that you learn the sales in your area. So just kind of do some research, whether you actually go in and ask or call. Just learn what days they have sales and what the sales are at all the different thrift stores in your area so that you can plan accordingly and get your items at the lowest cost available to you. I would also recommend that you do some research. You can drive around or you can go online and look it up, but look for the smaller thrift stores. Look for those mom and pop thrift stores. Look for the ones that aren't nationwide chains, that aren't big corporations, that maybe are privately owned or owned by a local church or something. Those places typically have the best sales, really good inventory, and they have good prices to start, usually, that even without a sale, you're going to get items at a really good price. And because these mom and pop thrift stores are usually like hidden gems, I know a lot of people that have found these refer to them as their honeypot, and they hold on to that secret and they don't want to share it. And that's because these places are seriously hidden gems. A lot of people don't know they exist. They're kind of off the beaten path, and they get really good inventory and nobody's buying it. So you can go in and find really good stuff. So just do your research with thrift stores, find out when the sales are, and look for those little tiny ones off the beaten path. You might find your honeypot. Of course, there's pawn shops, and those are kind of hit or miss. There was a time when you could go into pawn shops and you could buy things at really affordable prices. And of course, if you went in consistently and built up a relationship with the people that worked at the pawn shop or the owner or the manager, you could buy a lot of items in bulk for really cheap. They'd cut you a deal. That's not so much the case anymore, and I can give you an example. When we first started, we did have a local pawn shop we went to. We built a relationship with the guy, and in the beginning, we were buying stacks and stacks and stacks of video games, like the old NES cartridges and stuff, and he was cutting us a really good deal. The more we bought, the more we saved. And then a couple months down the line, we started to notice something. Instead of just putting all of everything we picked in this great big pile and kind of eyeballing it and telling us, oh, here's a price, which was fair, really good, he started to look up all the items on eBay. It went from like, oh, well, you have 90 games here, so $180 for all of them, to him taking his time to go through a lot of the stuff in our pile. Not everything. I think he was cherry picking what he thought was worth money. And he was looking them up on eBay, and then he was adding on a calculator as he was looking them up. And that can be bad for two reasons. Number one, if he doesn't know how to comp right, he's coming up with a price that's ridiculous. And you'll see this at yard sales too. I want to mention that real briefly. You'll see this at yard sales where they'll have an item out and they'll have a sign on it showing you items listed on eBay that they printed out, or, oh, this sells for this much on eBay. The problem is if people don't know how to comp right, they're not going to get the right going price for that item. If you're not looking at the solds, if you're not looking at the last like 90 days of solds, you're not getting the right price, because anybody can list anything at any price, and that doesn't mean it sells for that. So if they just do a quick search, they don't go into solds or anything, they don't bother to check the condition of the item or anything like that, an item that typically sells for, let's say, $40, they'll find one listing of one crazy person that has it for 90, and they want 90 from you because they don't know how to comp right. And the second reason that can be really bad is because even if they know how to comp right, you don't want to pay the going price on eBay for an item that you're trying to flip. You're trying to buy low and sell high, and that can just be detrimental to you. So pawn shops, I think, are really hit or miss. It's going to depend on the area you live in. But I do really feel that a lot of pawn shop owners and managers are getting smart. They know that resellers are out there. And they also know that they can ask for higher prices nowadays if they can tell people, oh, well, it sells on eBay for this much. Because people who aren't resellers, like your typical people going in there, are willing to pay the eBay prices because it's still, you know, a good deal. But for us, it's not, because we're trying to make money. So I wouldn't necessarily say to cross pawn shops off your list, but just be careful when you go in and do your due diligence. And if you're lucky enough to find one that will cut you a really good deal once you get to know them without checking the prices on eBay, then you've hit a gold mine. Then there is the bins. You guys, I should have mentioned this earlier with the thrift stores, but it's like its own monster. The bins is the Goodwill outlet where all the stuff goes. It's its last chance to sell. Before it goes to the landmine, they dump everything in bins and you have to dig. And it is, I guess that's also regional too. I've heard stories of bins that are very organized and everybody's nice. And then I've heard nightmares about some places where the bins are like a Black Friday every day. So, but the bins are a really good option because you pay per pound. And if you're looking for shoes and clothes, it's a really good place to get those items really cheap. And they always have lots of books. And if you have the time and patience to sit there and scan books, you may find a really good treasure. Of course, there's yard sales. And you guys can look for yard sales in your local area on Craigslist and your newspapers, or you can get the app called Yard Sale Treasure Map. It's available for Apple and Android phones, and it is the most amazing thing ever. Yard Sale Treasure Map. You really just go on it, and it shows you a map of your area, and it'll have all these little red dots of where all the yard sales in your area are. So when it's yard sale season, or if it's all year for you, you can actually, before you know, the night before or even the morning of, you can pull up your yard sale treasure map, look at the map, see where all the yard sales are, and kind of plan your route so that you're not wasting time or gas, that you can just kind of go along a route and hit all the yard sales. Additionally, you guys have estate sales, flea markets, and church sales. And those three things are also typically on the yard sale treasure map. It will not just show you yard sales and garage sales. They do have estate sales and moving sales and flea markets and church sales on there as well. The way the yard sale treasure map works, it pulls the information from Craigslist and newspapers and other periodicals where people advertise all of these different types of sales, and this app pulls all those in and puts them in one place for you. So if people do list these other types of sales like on Craigslist or whatever, they're going to show up on your app. So that app is invaluable. It's not just going to show you yard sales. You're going to find your estate sales, flea markets, and church sales. You could also go online and look up flea markets in your area. Church sales are usually advertised really well. And as far as estate sales, yes, you can find them on that yard sale treasure map, but there is also a website, which I will link down below for you guys, called estatesales.net, and you can sign up on the website for free with your email and your zip code or your area that you live in, and you will get email notifications when estate sales are happening in your area, which is really cool. Then you have retail arbitrage. This can happen in any store. Walmart, Kmart's going out of business, Target's, anywhere that has those clearance aisles, you can do retail arbitrage. You just have to be really careful. Like for us, a lot of our Walmarts have a clearance aisle, and their idea of clearance is like 10% off. That's not really ideal for someone trying to resell these items. But if you have a Walmart that puts everything in the clearance aisle at like 75% off, you might want to go through there and have a look and maybe check some of the items on eBay and see what they sell for, because you can make really good money. And a lot of times there's more than one of the item. So if you find something that's going to be a really good flip for you, you can buy 4 or 5 of them at a time. The only thing I would say about that, though, is if all Walmarts across the nation put a certain toy, say a toy on clearance, there's going to be a lot of resellers buying them at that clearance price and putting them on eBay. So they might be a little oversaturated and you might run into that race to the bottom. So just kind of be careful with that. One suggestion that I've heard that is really good is maybe buy 1 or 2 and see what happens. If they sell like overnight or really fast, go back and buy a couple more. If they end up sitting for a while, then you've only got a couple. But you can do this at any store that has clearance. Think outside of the box. Go to your Ace Hardwares, your True Values, your places in the mall that are going out of business, things like that. Then, of course, you have TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Ross. Those are good stores to pick up retail arbitrage in, especially when they have their clearance sales. And Plato's Closet is another store that's really good to get clothing in for resale if they have their sales on. You can go into any of these stores and sign up for their email list, and then you will get email notifications when they're having their blowouts or their sales. Plato's Closet has a couple of sales a year, really good, like 75% off, and some of the stuff is $1 a piece. So, you know, it doesn't hurt to go to your local Plato's Closet, take a look around, maybe see if you find anything worth flipping. And if not, just sign up for their email list and get notified of when the sales are happening, and then it is definitely worth going in. And then the same with TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Ross. You can go in and have a look around. They always have clearance racks. They always have sales going. And you can find stuff in there to flip. And the good thing with retail arbitrage is if you can find stuff that's selling at a low enough price that you want to buy it to flip it, it's all new. It's new with tags. It's new in box. And new things, number 1, sell for more money, and number 2, they sell faster, and that includes clothes. Then there's also outlets. You guys are probably familiar with like Nordstrom Rack, although they really frown on reselling. I would be careful at Nordstrom Rack. They even have signs all over the place like warning people of resellers. But places like that, or if you have like the huge outlets where they have all the really big brand names, in like one area that you can go in and buy things cheaper, go ahead and check those out. I know we have some outlets here just outside of Pittsburgh, and Frenchie, you guys remember Frenchie, she gets like coupons, she's on their email list, so she knows when to go when the sales are hot. So that's another place for you to research, and maybe you end up doing some retail arbitrage at some outlets. You just have to find the ones in your area and just be aware of when they're having their sales and such. Then you can do some online sourcing, which is probably the easiest, because online sourcing you can do in your pajamas, on your computer, from home. You don't have to use your car, use your gas, or drive anywhere. You can look up storage units online. They have, I'll link the website down below, but they have a website where you can look up your local area, and they'll have online storage unit auctions that you can look at and participate in if you want, rather than going to the actual storage units. And I don't even know that many places do the storage unit auctions like in person anymore. A lot of it has moved online. There was a time, I'm sure you guys know, it was all the rage. They had reality shows where people would go by hordes to these storage unit places and stand in a crowd, and they'd let you peek inside and everybody would bid. They don't really do that much anymore, but I will put the website down below so you can go and look. And it's kind of the same premise. You get like a couple pictures of what's inside the storage unit, and you can take a look, and then you can enter your bid if you want to auction on it. They also have government auctions. I have a website for that for you guys too. I'll link that down below. Government auctions, you can find just about anything on. You really have to take a look for yourself, because it really depends on your area, what's going to be on the government auctions. Everywhere is different. So I'll put the website for you. You guys can go and have a look. It doesn't hurt to look. That's what me and Keith always say. We don't really find a lot on our government auctions, but we look. Every once in a while, we go in and have a peek. We go and look at the storage units. So far in our area, most of them are like not worth it. Like you can see an old dirty stained mattress in there and some Walmart shoes. But it doesn't hurt to look, because you never know when something good is going to show up. Of course, you can get into wholesale, and you have to do your research on that. You can find places that will do wholesale to you, whether it's clothes or electronics or shelf pulls. You guys know what those are. Returns. There's people that sell like dinged and damaged items. There's just a whole world out there for wholesale. And a lot of stores will do it. There's websites that link you to a bunch of different places. And of course, you can do some online arbitrage on eBay, Posh, and Mercari. Every single day, there's some seller racing to the bottom that doesn't necessarily price things at what they're worth. There are sellers that are trying to get rid of old inventory that price it really low. And there's some people that just don't know what they have, and they price it really low. There's some resellers that might have a moral problem with that. I really don't. I feel like if a buyer lists an item at a price, that's the price they want for it, and that's the price they're okay getting for it. If I buy it and sell it for 3 or 4 times more than what they did, they still got what they wanted for it. It is not my responsibility to send a message to everybody selling something too low to let them know, did you know this is worth 4 times more? They probably know that. They're probably just racing to the bottom. They're probably trying to sell theirs the fastest and get the fastest return on investment that they can. Or, like I said, it might be really old inventory that they're just trying to get rid of and they don't really care. I don't have any problem buying from other resellers to resell. Like I said, if they have it up at a price, that's the price they want for it, and I will give it to them. If I can sell it for more, I will. That's just like your own, I guess you have to make your own choice on that. Some people have a moral issue with that. I really don't, because it's just like going to a yard sale. To me, it's just like going to a yard sale. They might have something out for $1 that you know you can flip for $80. Are you going to tell the person running the yard sale, hey, did you know you can get $80 for that? No, you're just going to give them the $1 and take the item home and resell it. So I have no problem with going on the selling platforms and finding items really, really cheap that I know I can flip. Again, there's Facebook Marketplace, there's Craigslist. You can go in there and buy local. A lot of times you can find really, really, really good deals on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. You'll find people selling like a video game system with 20 games for like $30. you can find amazing deals on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. So make sure you're checking those every so often. Keith actually checks ours every single day and looks for really good deals in our area. But you can find really good stuff on there. And then as far as thinking outside of the box, you can place your own ads on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist as long as you follow the rules of wherever you're listing. I have to add that in there. Facebook Marketplace does have pretty strict rules, so just make sure you're following the rules. But in addition to Marketplace, they do have Facebook selling groups, and you just have to look for them. They're just like any other group that you would join on Facebook, but they're like local to your area, and it's a buy and sell marketplace inside of a group that's not part of the bigger Facebook Marketplace. So you can join all of the groups for your local area, and you can source from there. You can find good deals, or you can place ads and let people know, I buy broken phones, I buy bulk clothes, I buy old video games, I buy old plush. Whatever you want to pick up for a good price to resell, you can put an ad out letting people know you're looking for it and you want to buy it. Just again, make sure that you're following the rules of wherever you're posting these so that you don't get into any kind of trouble. And then as far as really thinking outside of the box, you guys, you can put ads up letting people know that you will clean up after a yard sale or an estate sale. So you would just put an ad saying, you know, I will come at the end of your yard sale and take everything off your hands. You don't even have to offer a price, because in some instances, if you write your ad correctly and you make it sound good, you're going to take all of their stuff that they didn't sell in their yard sale off of their hands away for them. So they don't have to take it back in their house. They don't have to take it back to storage. They don't have to deal with putting it out at the curb for trash or whatever. You're coming to take it off of their hands. Now, in some cases, you do want to offer money, but that's up to you. There are people that just want it gone, and instead of paying someone to do it for them or dealing with it themselves, they're happy to let you come and take it all for free. In some cases, you may want to say, well, I'll take all of your leftovers for a price. Or you can say in your ad, you know, when your yard sale is over, all of your leftovers, send me some pictures and I'll take a look through and make you an offer. You can do it however you want to do it, but that is an option. You can definitely advertise yourself to be the person that comes after the yard sale or the estate sale is over that takes the leftovers. Whether you're doing them a favor by carting them away or you're offering them a price for what's left. People are really happy to do that, because the whole reason they have these sales is to get rid of their stuff. And when they have stuff left over, they just really don't want to deal with it. So guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you have any other ideas on places to source inventory for your reselling business, put it down there. Help each other out, you guys. If I missed anything, absolutely put it in the comments. Other people will read it and you'll help them out. Obviously, don't give away your secrets. If you have like a honey pot or a secret place that you get your wholesale from, no one expects you to give up everything. No one expects you to share everything or give up your secrets. But if you know of like a common place or somewhere that a lot of people go that I missed or forgot in this list, by all means, put it down there. And do me a favor, you guys. You know what I'm going to say. Before you click off, smash that like button. If you haven't already and you'd like to, please subscribe to our channel and help us feed a hungry hippo. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're at Flippin' Hippos. Until next time, you guys have a good night.